my screen so bad? Oh, there you are. Hey there, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Still stuck in Australia, huh?
Yep. You know, if you got to be stuck, it's not a bad place to be.
I can imagine it's not. So
Yeah.
good deal. Okay, so this is just like an informal chat
Yep.
that we do for like 15, 20 minutes. I will, I'll introduce you. Whoops, that's the person who just took my quiz. It's not that. I'll introduce you, and then I want to talk a little bit about why it's important, kind of what you did without the PowerPoint.
Sure.
On the other, about why it's important to pivot right now, you know, financial, the fear, just all of that. And by the way, I loved your program. I have to read
Thanks.
all over again, but I loved it.
So here's the thing, you don't have to redo all of it. So your values, your vision, your targets, and your goals should all stay the same. What you're going to change are your activities, your metrics, and your projects. So change your tactics, not your goals.
Okay, very good. So yeah, share that. I think Jen was going to try to jump on, but I don't know if she still is. So is there any way you can run a watch party at the same time? Is that doable, or are you kind of in a place where you can't?
It is no.
Well, that's why. That's why I asked.
Little bare bones.
Oh, are we on already? Oh gosh, we are on. Oh,
great.
Gosh. No, we're not. No, we're not. That's last week. So I was like, I'm wearing a different shirt. I was going to say, I haven't even gone to Facebook yet. You ready?
I'm wearing my one non-t-shirt shirt that I brought with me.
Are you?
Yeah.
You know what? You're lucky that you brought one. For me, I never. I'm always the person where we get invited out to something nice and I have nothing nice to wear.
I brought the one, I'm like, you know, you never know what's going to happen. And I'm really glad I did, because I can't go shopping, right. You know, and everything else is t-shirts and sweatshirts. And
so where are you staying? Did you stay with friends while you're there, and now you're just permanently living there?
No, I'm staying here with a friend of mine. And it works out great. The house is set up really well for this. Like her bedroom is all the way at the opposite end of the house from the office where I'm sitting, because I'm working in the middle of the night most of the time, because my calls are all between about 1 a.m. and 8 a.m. local time. I just booked. So I have a big client that I do stuff for, and I just booked their quarterly 2-day meeting, and it runs from 11:30 p.m. to 6 a.m. my time. That's gonna be fun for 2 days.
So when you get back, you're gonna be all messed up?
No, actually, when I get back, I'll be fine, because I'm living in East Coast time. So.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, okay. When I get back, I should be fine.
Okay. All right. So let me go live to Facebook. Okay. Hold on. I have to turn the sound down over here. Otherwise we will echo. This is always the part that, okay, share on my timeline, share on page. Tracy's going to try to run a show too. I thought she was on today, but apparently she had something else to do. Do you know Tracy Hazard? Oh, you should. Okay.
I do not.
She is a dame as well.
Awesome. And your name came up in conversation today with Cloris Kiley, who runs a podcast. And I was like, do you know Juliet Clark? She's like, think we're Facebook or LinkedIn connections, but I don't know her. And I was like, do you want me to make an introduction? She's like, no, I'll just reach out. I'm like, okay. So of course we'll reach out to you.
So funny. When she was part of Rich German's program and I was a coach, I was assigned her, and he was so far ahead of the curve of everyone else. I didn't understand why she signed up for his program. I know, kind of, right? So yeah, I'll be excited. I'll remind her of that because it was, gosh, 2015, 2016.
Oh yeah. She's doing great. She's just absolutely delightful.
Yeah, she is. I remember she was, but I think she was just getting started with something new back then. So hopefully it sounds like that's worked out for her.
Yep.
She's a copywriter?
No, she does marketing through influencers.
Okay, that makes
sense. She just interviewed Jack Canfield. Like she's really good at helping people connect to those big influencers who can really move the needle for them.
Okay, cool. All right. We are live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marketing Monday. Tracy's not with us today. She was very, very busy, but we have a super special guest. Her name is Laura Posey, and she is an internationally recognized speaker, author, and consultant. And she's known as the Simple Planning Specialist, which you're going to find out why, for her unique ability to simplify and easily laser focus her clients for dramatic results. I'm sorry, English is obviously my second language right now. Her simple strategic plan is used by over 2,500 companies, from startups to Fortune 100, and she's the author of How to Plan Your Entire Year on One Sheet of Paper, which, wait till you see this, I've actually done it. It's doable. And she's the co-author with Jack Canfield of Mastering the Art of Success. She is, well, we don't really care what you're a graduate of. We know you're good. So welcome.
Went to school a lot.
Haven't we all?
Yeah.
So that's very cool. Welcome. She is currently in Australia right now. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your adventure into the COVID vacation?
Yeah. So I arrived on St. Patrick's Day on March 17th in Western Australia, all ready to start a month-long vacation. And a week later, we got notice that Australia was closing the state borders. And we had 2 days to get across the first state border, and then 2 days to get across the next state border on our way back to Sydney. So we did an absolute mad dash road trip for 6 days, driving all the way across the country, about 80% of it through the outback, which is it's a really interesting thing to come out at your motel door in the morning and find dingoes playing in the parking lot.
Oh, I can do that. Great. What's that movie? The Baby Ate My Dingo?
Oh yeah, the dingo ate my baby. Yep.
That's awesome. I just recently watched Crocodile Dundee. Don't even ask me why. I saw it. I was like, my kids, I got them in, like, you have to watch this. And they're like, oh my God, did you do drugs in the 80s? Because yeah, I'm not seeing it, Mom. But back then it was all the rage.
It was, absolutely.
So did you meet him? No.
No.
Are there really men like that on the Outback?
I didn't meet any, but keep in mind that everybody was trying to get off the road as fast as possible. So we didn't meet hardly anybody. Social distancing was already in place at that point. But I did discover a thing called road trains, which are tractor trailers that have 4 tractors on them, or 4 trailers on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they're 4 cars long, 4 trailers long, and they just plow through the outback, and they have these enormous grills on the front of them, because the outback has not only, you know, kangaroos and emus, but you can also hit a camel. There are camels in the outback, and so they have these huge grills on the front, because they just go barreling through the outback at 1 billion miles an hour, and if they hit something, they just keep on going.
Oh my gosh. So they have in Utah, because I'm from California, you can actually have 3 of those trailers, which I think in California you're limited to 4. I know, but it here, like the last one, it's like it's not even attached. It's all over the place. So I can't imagine 4.
And trying to pass one of those suckers, I mean, even though it's perfectly flat and you can see forever, it is still terrifying to pass them, because it just goes on and on and on and on and on. You're like, I'm never going to get past this thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
That's cool. But that's cool. You've been stuck. I guess it's cool. You've been stuck there. What are your people at
I'm
home
having a
think about it?
blast. The weather's beautiful. It's fall here, but it doesn't get that cold. So everything's the flowers, it's just that insane, the number of flowers and blooms, and it's just gorgeous. I'm loving it.
That's
And
good.
it's super safe. They've had fewer than 10 deaths in the entire country. So yeah.
Just like an hour.
Yeah, exactly. I feel so much safer here than I would at home. So I'm just going to ride it out.
Well, good for you. Any idea when they're going to open up? Are they telling you, or you're just like a resident now? If you stay, wait a minute, I have a question. If you stay long enough, can you apply for citizenship?
No, it's a 3-year process.
Okay.
I've got lots of friends here that have gone that route, but it's a 3-year process. So no, actually, I probably will stay longer than my visa, but they've already said they're extending visas with no questions asked. So
very good, very good.
Yeah.
So I had you on because about 2 months ago, you and I talked, and you gave me your program to try.
Mhm.
And I thought it was truly amazing. And you and I just talked about that. I had just gotten around to doing it and finishing it. And then this happened. And I thought, oh, I did all that as a waste. But talk about what you did with this, because it was interesting and it was really focusing.
Yeah. So what we're telling our clients with their strategic plan, it's like, everybody's got, all of our clients have a strategic plan that they put together. It's all on one sheet of paper. They knew what they were going to do coming into 2020, and they were ready to go and focused, and they knew exactly what they were going to do and how they were going to get it done. And then of course, life changed, right? And so many businesses have changed. And so we went back to our clients and said, change your tactics, not your goals. So all of our clients still have the same goals that they came into 2020 with. And what we're working on is the how you're going to get there is changing, right? You've got to do some things differently. And so we've just seen our clients do so many different interesting things and really step back from their business and say, what is it that I really do at its core? And are there ways for me to pivot the way I do that, whether it's doing it with a different market? So for example, one of our clients is in office supplies. She sells office supplies. But she stepped back and said, I'm actually in procurement, right? Like my job is to go find people who need stuff and then find people who have stuff and get the stuff to the people. And so she's like, well, who needs stuff right now? Healthcare. They need stuff. They need PPE. They need thermometers. They need supplies. I'm going to do that. So she reached out to a bunch of healthcare organizations and said, what do you need? And they were like, we need masks and gowns and face shields and thermometers and all sorts of things. And she's like, great, tell me what you need. I'm going to go get it. And so she's just using her talent. And she's actually in July, she's got to find 6,000 thermometers for a client. And when she does that, she'll have hit her 2020 goals in July.
Wow.
Right. So it's just pivoting. And we have another client that lives in the UK. All of her clients are in Italy. You can imagine what happened there. Business went to zero overnight. She's got 2 small kids, single mom. And so she was like, okay, how do I pivot this? And so we helped her put together a mastermind program. So instead of going to Italy and delivering the trainings, and her clients didn't want to do like all day trainings online, they didn't want to do this sort of traditional virtual class thing. She has organized them into mastermind groups and just done a pivot. She's delivering slightly different content because she's in the sustainability space, and particularly sustainability around buildings and green buildings. And you're like, well, nobody's even in the buildings, right? So they're in this mastermind, they're talking about like, what's the new landscape look like? So she's actually gathering information while she's helping her clients. She's bringing them all together to talk about how this all works. And so again, like, she's on target for her goals because she's just pivoted her business, and she's actually setting herself up to be stronger when things come out, because she's building all of these relationships and she's learning what her clients desperately need.
Yeah, no, that is so cool. I attended a workshop last weekend, 2 weekends ago, and for Credit Sense, Merrill Chandler's group, and I've attended it a couple times, and it's about how you build that automatic business credit profile. And I was loving it this last time because he pivoted into the, like, what is your doomsday? What does that look like? What do you, and I know that sounds so,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, the world's blown up, but
Right.
what's your doomsday plan? And with your credit,
Right.
your finances and stuff. So one of the
Yeah.
things I really liked about your program was before you even got started with the one pager, you got into passion and values and all that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, you know, our clients are all entrepreneurs, but they're also people, right? They're humans and they have hopes and dreams. And so before we do a business plan and do a business vision, we start with the life vision. And we start with, what do you want? What do you want your life to look like? How do you want to work? Do you want to work virtually? Do you want to be a digital nomad? Do you want to have an office with people in it? How big do you want to be? You know, what kind of hobbies do you want to be able to engage in? What sort of time and money and location freedom do you really want? And we have an 8-part process for the life vision piece. And then we do what we call a life vision calculation. So then we say, okay, well, now here's all the stuff you want. How much is it going to cost to have that, right? Like, what kind of income do you have to have? And so once we understand that, then we can go look at, how do we build a business that delivers that? So that sort of flows through into the business vision. Because a lot of times I ask people, you know, like, how big a business do you want? And they're like, oh, what am I, $2 million? And my next question is, why? Like, what are you going to do with it? What is that funding? What is that, you know, and is that revenue? Is that profit? Like, what's going on? And they just don't know, right? It's all fuzzy. And we use the analogy of building a business is like building a house, right? And you have to start with a really clear picture in your mind of exactly what you want. Like, you wouldn't build a house and say, well, I don't know, I want it big and brick, right? Your architect would be like, so how many bedrooms do you want? Like, is it an open floor plan? How many bathrooms? Is it 2-story, 1-story? Like, let's get some specifics here. And I find that a lot of people just don't have that with their business. They don't have those specifics in place. So it's really hard to build something if you don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, no, I agree. One of the things I really loved about what I did inside your program was I felt like the money wasn't the object. Like you were just saying, it was like, what can you do that will get you there? But it wasn't all about the money in particular. It was more about planning what you could do to get there. And it hit me at such a great time because I've had these group programs and I've had a whole bunch of programs. And I discovered in January, somebody talked me into just build. You can get in, you can get out in a week. So when your program hit and then COVID hit, it was almost like from your program, I manifested this new way, and I'm making more money than I was with the group program. So it's interesting how when you get it out of your head, this is where I was going with this, when you get it out of your head and onto paper, then it's tangible. You can see it and you can grow it from there instead of just the scattered up in your head.
So the life vision is sort of the why. Like, why do I want to build this business? Why do I care? And then the business vision and the targets and the goals, that's the what, right? That's the really concrete, I can see what it is that I want to do. And then everything else in the plan is the how. And so when you know why you want to do it, what you want to do, and then the how you're going to do it becomes really clear. It's really easy. And so, like, you and I were just talking at the beginning here. You were like, oh, I got to redo my plan. I'm like, no, the top half of your plan is going to stay the same. It's really just the bottom 2 pieces that are going to change, which are the how piece, right? You're still going to hit your goals for 2020. It's just, you're going to go about that in a way that's a little different. So you're going to revamp the how, but the top part of the plan, that's done. You don't have to change that.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing that I really loved is once you got into the how you're going to get it done, you really keyed in on analytics.
Yes.
What do I have to do? Because the analytics are what makes it happen. You can put it into a
Yeah.
plan, but if you don't take the action and figure out how much action you need to take, it's not going to happen
Yeah.
either.
Exactly. Yeah, we look at the goals get done with two pieces. So the one thing that has to be done are what we call activities or metrics. And these are the things that get done on a weekly basis over and over and over. So it's the lead gen, it's the client delivery stuff. It's typically the stuff that's gotten you to where you are that you want to keep doing. And maybe there's some new stuff that you want to add in there that's the ongoing, I got to do this every week. I got to keep pedaling the bicycle. Then the other side of that are the projects. Those are the big things that have to change in your business, the new stuff that has to get done, things that need to be revamped. So maybe you need to, launch an online course or redo your website or create a new lead magnet, right? Those are all projects that need to get done. They have a beginning and an end. And so that combination of stuff you're doing every single week, the activities and the projects that are they're one and done, but they're the big changes that have to happen. You put those two things together, then your goals get done.
That's really great. So what are some other things when you put this together? Why on one page? Because I know you do, you work
Yeah.
with big companies, big strategic plans. Why so simplified? What
Yeah.
brought to your attention?
I did a $30 billion 3-year plan on a sheet of paper. So don't tell me you can't do it for your business, right? So the reason we put things on a single sheet of paper is one, attention span, right? If I made you go through a big binder full of stuff, you'd never get anything done. It'd be overwhelming, and you just put it in the corner of your desk and forget about it and go back to winging it. But the biggest piece is that it forces constraint, right? It's got to fit on one sheet of paper, and I don't let you change the font size, right? You only get 4 goals. You only get certain numbers of things. And so it forces you, those constraints force you to prioritize. People will go, well, I have 7 things I want to accomplish. And I'm like, great, what are the 4 most important? When you get those done, you can go do the other 3 if you're still interested in them. And so it really forces you to think through, what do I deeply care about? What am I really committed to doing? What's really interesting to me? And everything else becomes a nice to do. And we put that on what we have what we call a not now list. So all that stuff that you think you want to do that seems really exciting that doesn't go in your plan, it goes on a not now list. And then when your plan is done, when that work is done, you can go to your not now list and look at that stuff and say, oh, that sounds great, I'm going to go do that. But honestly, when we force the prioritization, all the stuff that ends up on the not now list, most of the time people go back and look at that and they go, oh God, I'm so glad I didn't do that. What a stupid thing to do. That was such a distraction. Why, that was never going to get me where I needed to go. And so they just scratch out all the stuff on their not now list, which is fun.
No, I love that because I'm not someone who does, but I know a lot of people get really easily overwhelmed. And
Yep.
so by forcing this prioritization, now you have to focus in those areas. And I just, hopefully I won't be pigeonholing anybody, but I tend to think that those people that are overwhelmed are also the shiny object syndrome people, which is probably
Yes.
why
Oh, yeah,
when you
absolutely.
forced it, you force it. That's why they go back and they say, oh, I'm so glad I didn't do these things. Because sometimes when you force that focus too, you find that you didn't really need those things when you get your stuff processed and systematized and all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're just distractions. They're just things that, if I hear one more person say, oh, I think I need chatbots. I need Facebook Messenger chatbots. That's the secret sauce. I'm like, no, it's not. It's just stop with the chatbots. Like, that's such an advanced strategy. And so few people are at a place where they're like, that's actually going to move the needle for them.
Right.
It's just a distraction.
Well, what's funny is I had someone on my podcast a while back about chatbots, and it was the first podcast that I ever got like, boo, I hate those. I wouldn't use them. I don't recommend them. I delete those people. And I've never, I suppose any comment is a good comment, but got a lot of that with the articles. People just don't like them too. But I see what you're saying. It's not just the chat box. It's sometimes those shiny objects are very they're very limited activities that are only going to work for a little while.
Yes. Or in a lot of cases, what I find is people are sort of gravitating towards really advanced strategies and things that are not going to move the needle. It's like when you've got all the basics in place, this is the stuff that's going to refine it. You know, it's like PhD level tactics, and it's like, no, you don't have your bachelor's degree stuff yet. Like, you can't, this is too advanced. You're never going to implement it. It's not going to work because you don't have the foundations in place.
That is very, very true. And I think I also see that shiny object happen out in the digital world because people want clicks. They want it easy. They want a click is easy, but a click isn't a relationship. So from a marketing standpoint, that's what I see out there is they prioritize these things that are clicks instead of, I need to talk to someone.
And it's a click, but is it a good click? It's like, generating leads. I'm like, I can generate 25-cent leads on Facebook all day long, but they're garbage.
Yeah.
They're not going to do anything for me. Now I've just got a whole bunch of leads that make me feel good, but nobody's buying anything. Right. So I want a good lead. Right. And I'm willing to pay more for a good lead because they're going to buy something.
Right. No, I agree. When I was in real estate, one of the big things agents do all the time is, well, I've got 70 leads. And, my team sold a lot of houses every year. And it was because they weren't a lead unless they were in our car or, on our list, they had listed with us. It wasn't like truly a lead until we were talking to them, and a talk wasn't, I went into an open house and signed.
Right. Once I'm thinking about selling my house someday. That is not a lead.
Yes. Oh, Laura, you're my newest lead. I'm going to call you incessantly now until you do that.
Right.
So exactly. So tell us where we can find your program, what's going on with it. Because I think this is something you guys really need to take a look at, and it'll help you really get refocused too. Before we get into that, before we have you tell us where, let's talk about that refocus real quick. Do you think a lot of people are not refocusing because of fear? Like they're just in that fear frozen?
Absolutely. And I think the biggest issue is the time frames, right? Nobody knows how long this is going to last, right? So folks are thinking, well, if it's only 30 days, I can just ride it out, right? And if it's 60 days, maybe I can just ride it out. And I think a lot of folks are thinking, well, it's going to be short term. And then I'm just going to flip a switch and go back to normal, right? Everybody's like, oh, when things get back to normal, it's different. Things are changing at a fundamental level. But I think that uncertainty around the time frame, if somebody came to you and said, okay, for the next year, everything's going to be weird, everything's going to be virtual, like this is life for the next year. And then in the year after that, you're going to be at 50% of normal. Right. And if somebody could give you those definite time frames, then you'd be like, oh shit, I got to do something for the next year. Like I got to change. I got to make some stuff happen because I'm gonna go broke. Mm-hmm. But in the absence of that, I think people are just in sort of hope mode. Mm-hmm. Like maybe it's going to be short term. They're already talking about reopening some things. It's going to be okay if I just get through. Maybe if I could just limp through the summer, maybe when school starts again in September, things will go back and it'll be just like it was, and I'll just be down a little bit. And I think you can't bank on that. I think you have to make a plan as if this is it. This is where we are. This is going to last for the next 12 months. And how am I going to deal with it? Because if it changes sooner, right? If we go back to something that resembles the stuff that we're used to, great. I got a plan for that, right? I just go take the new one, check that, go get the old one and go back to what I was doing, right? I don't see that happening. I think this is much longer term. I think fundamental things are shifting, and you got to just pretend this is the new normal right now and plan from here.
I definitely agree with that. And I was one of those people. I told you I did my plan, and then March
Yep.
happened, and that whole week was like silent. I was losing clients, and I thought, oh my God, my business is done. And then I started seeing those people peeking back through going, I need to be in action right now. I'm an online marketer and I need that quiz. I'm
Yeah.
going to be on summits. I've got to come up with a better way to generate leads and qualified leads than I did in the past. So that's why I was asking about the fear, because I feel like there are a lot of people who feel like they're still in fear. And then
Yeah.
there are those who, I think a lot of them are online marketers where we've been through this so many times. It's
Oh, yeah.
like, I had a launch. It's like a failed launch. Now I just pick back up and do something different.
Right. And I mean, we're used to working remotely. This is our normal, right? So that, I have a lot of clients that work in offices and, now they're home for the first time and they're virtual for the first time. And they're like, they're like, oh my gosh, I could work in sweatpants. I'm like, I've been working in sweatpants for 20 years. Y'all just didn't know it. And so I think there's a lot of the news is around this huge change for so many people. I think for a lot of us, just like, okay, I gotta change some things, but and maybe my value proposition has to be a little different for the next year, and that's okay, right? People, you have to change your value proposition to align with the way people are thinking, right? So change your messaging. That doesn't mean that a lot of your core products need to change.
That is so true. And what I love is I'm hearing so many people saying, I don't have a commute anymore. I actually heard one guy, he said, I've got 2 hours a day that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great, are you going to get a hobby? And he's like, no, I just drink. So I highly recommend that you get a hobby of some sort.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be a benefit of this is, I know I've talked to companies who have actually said, I'm finding out who my really good workers are and who they're not.
Yeah.
So there's kind of that thing, but then there's the other part of working from home. You have all this free time. So it's time to grow. It's time to spend with the family and do some other things.
There's certain areas. I mean, if you're in oil and gas, you need to rethink some stuff because that stuff isn't going to change we're probably staring down the barrel of another 10-year cycle of massively low prices. Mm-hmm. That's not changing anytime soon. If you're in the hospitality industry, it's going to come back. And when it does, it's probably going to come back hard. So you need to be prepared for that, right? There are certain industries that are deeply, that this is a fundamental change, right? And some industries, in hospitality, social distancing may be here for a while. How does that impact the number of people that you can have in your restaurant, even when it's allowed to open? So there's certain places where you need to think completely differently. But otherwise, you know what? It's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. You can just bend things a little bit. It doesn't have to be a wholesale rewrite of your life.
Right. I think it'll come back better. Before I have you talk about your program, we have a couple people on. Do you guys, we have our regulars. I love Paul and Tony, even though I still can't say Tony's last name. But do you guys have any questions for Laura? I don't know if there's anybody on live either. These guys are really great. You put it in the chat or raise your hand. I'll bring you on. I guess they don't. I guess they're being silent. Okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. Let me look on Facebook Live real quick and see if anybody's over there. Action social networks disconnected. Uh-oh. Hopefully that doesn't mean.
It says live on Facebook on my side, but I don't know what that means.
No, we're definitely live on Facebook. I don't know why I got that. It's probably my Hootsuite. So Paul, you guys would love Paul. Paul says, love your advice, especially about keeping track of your goals and changing your tactics and thinking out of the box, brainstorming something. I think that was brainstorming, but he typed a little bit wrong. Brainstorming something new. Yeah, Paul, everybody likes it. That's why when I went through her program, I brought her onto Peace and Pivot too. I'm like, you guys, we have to have her. I think you need to be on my podcast too. I'm going to just put you on the spot live so you can't say no.
I love Tony's last name. It's German. It's Frischknecht.
Oh my gosh, can you actually say it?
Ja, natürlich kann ich Frischknecht sagen.
Oh my gosh, Tony, do you speak German? I don't know. That's right. You do, and you're learning Spanish.
Yeah.
So how much further do you think we will be ahead of the masses if we keep building our online presence when others are waiting? We're going to be way ahead, Tony. I'll let Laura speak to this in a minute, but I already from my business, I'm getting a sense how far ahead I am because like I said, it dropped off the first week and then it started picking back up. And actually those people that were online were coming back and they were saying, now we're getting back on webinars, we're getting back on summits, we're getting on all those things that weren't working in 2018, 2019. And by the way, those lead magnets that we were using weren't working either. So I want to give What You Do a try. So I think that's out of the box, but the people who've been doing this for a while are getting that some of what they were doing wasn't working, but they're so far ahead of everybody else with the online. Because let's face it, online has a very steep learning curve. All right, do you want to speak to that, Laura?
Yeah, no, I don't think they're ever going to catch up. I think if you're online and to your point, the learning curve is huge and it's getting bigger every single day, right? There's more noise, there's more confusion, there's more platforms. Those of us who've been doing it for a long time and who have our platforms, we know what we're doing. We've got our messaging, we've got our processes, we've got our funnels, right? We're always going to be tweaking those and growing those. But we're past the learning curve side from the technology aspect and from the platform aspect. We're just doing we're evolving our content. And so you look at all these other folks that maybe they've got really good content, but they have no way to deliver it properly. And they're going to be just dead in the water for a long time trying to figure out how they do that. And they also don't necessarily know, even if their content's great and they get the technology figured out, there's the whole, how do you deliver that content virtually? How do you deliver things online? It's very, very different than doing something live. It's night and day difference. And so they're going to have to figure all of that out. So people that are just getting on now are probably still a couple of years behind where you are, depending on how far along you are.
Yeah, and Tony is pretty far along. He has a podcast. He delivers great content out about I forget, Tony, is it CBD or it has something to do with CBD?
Yeah, I think they're not catching up.
Cannabis and hemp. Yeah, yep. You're not catching up at all.
They're not catching you.
Yeah. So Paul's. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good.
So Paul says this is like the 2000% solution where thinking big forces you to think outside the box. Well, I think every online marketer has already been thinking outside the box because we're working from home. We've been doing this online. We know how to put, our processes together, our enrollment together. So I think it is, and that is all part of that learning curve. But I think we have a big opportunity to help others do that as well here. So
absolutely.
Laura, tell us about your program. If somebody who's watching wants to, we've got a bunch of watchers on Facebook Live. If somebody wants to grab it, where do they find it? It's super inexpensive, you guys. It's something that almost.
Yeah, so I'll come out and tell you right now, it'll take you less than 3 hours to go through it. I do not believe in these big 80-hour PhD level online courses. This is get it done, get it in place, get to using it. I tell everybody, depending on when we're talking, you'll have it done by dinner. And so it's 3 hours. We get right to the point. It's $97. So my thing is, look, if you can't invest $97 in your business, you're not in business. You need to get a job. Like if that's your deal breaker level, it's job time. And so you can get it if you go to simplesuccessplans.com/strategic. It's right there. It's super easy. Online course delivered immediately. Dive right in. We've been doing, this is probably the 7th iteration of this course, so we just keep improving it. We've been doing it now for about 10 years. So we've worked out all the kinks. it just works. All the workbooks are in there, all the templates. We've even got it to the point where you don't have to fill in, you don't have to create your own one page. There's a link for an online form, and you just type your answers in the form. And then our system sucks that into a beautiful one-page template, and we just email you the finished plan within about a minute and a half. And so you don't have to make it pretty. You don't have to worry about formatting even. It's all done. Paul says, repeat the URL, please. Tell you what, I'm gonna type it in there. How about that?
Cool. That I was going to ask you to as well, so I can put it down below the recording.
Boom.
Plus,
Simple Success Plans with an S.com/strategic.
Very good.
And yeah, it's something. I mean, I'm really proud of this program. It just works. Our clients get results with it.
As you should be, because it's a great program.
Well, thank you.
Next week, Tracy's going to be back. I know y'all come just for Tracy. No, I'm just joking. But she's going to be back, and because it's Cinco de Mayo, we're going to have a killer spicy Bloody Mary recipe. We're going a different route. We don't want to be like everybody else and have, margaritas and tequila shots. That would be boring. So tune in next week. We're going to talk about spicy marketing. And I don't drink, but I'll just pretend I've had a couple before I get here.
I make a mean Bloody Mary.
Do you?
Oh,
wow.
Yes, I do. And it is spicy.
Well, maybe we should have you share instead of Chef Marie.
No, if her name starts with Chef.
I know. She's fantastic. So you guys, thank you so much for showing up, and we will see you. Oh, Laura, do you want to put in here, where can we get a hold of you too if we don't buy the program and they just want to talk to you? These are things I should know before the program, but I don't.
It's super simple. I'm Laura at simplesuccessplans.com.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for being up in the middle of the night for us. I feel so thrilled that you did that. You could have just slept.
No. My new normal is midnight to 8 a.m. Because that's when my East Coast clients are working. So that's when I'm working.
Cool. Very good. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
I thought I could just stop the, oh, there we go.